Make a quick video of how to do the Colorize project. So first off, I'm going to open up Photoshop and then bring in a color photograph. So I'm going to look through my Colorize project. Where is that? Right here. And then I'm going to go to my Colorize raw photos. Before I talk about these photos, or before I pull them in, let's talk about them for a second. So first off, if I look at a photo, you want to have a photo that has a lot of color to it. So like in this image here, there's lots of different colors. You've got like these different types of greens, right? There are different types of greens. And then you have reds and orange and yellow and blue and red and different type of red, another type of red or orange. And anyway, you've got all these different colors. That would be a really good photo to use for this project. If you don't have a photo, you could go take one, right? And somewhere in the class, just find something that has lots of colors. This would be another really good photo. What wouldn't be a good photo is something like this. There's only like 3 or 4 colors. All right, you have the yellows, green, red, and then like 2 types of brown. This would not be a good photo. It wouldn't be much of a challenge to do. Think of this as like the Olympics where 2 people do the same trick, but one does it and it's like incredibly difficult. Like you're on the half pipe, they do a 1080 flip twist thing and they land it, and that person will get a lot more points than another person in the Olympics that does a 360 and lands it perfectly. So think of it as you want lots of colors. So anyway, I'm going to click and drag this one in. I think it works well for this project. All I did was click and drag it over Photoshop, and then it opens in Photoshop. I press Command 0 to see it bigger. If I wanted to crop it, on the left side I could use the cropping tool to take it in a little bit. Let's crop it right there. I press Enter to commit to those changes. Command 0 again to make it full screen. Alright, first thing you want to do with your image is make it black and white. The way we do that is we go to our adjustments on the right side. Then we click on this icon. It looks black and white, and that it actually says black and white in this left side. So we click on that. Awesome. Now we created a layer on top of our background layer that's black and white. If there was not a lot of contrast in here, we could also go through these sliders and adjust them. I'm going to leave it to where it was. And now I want to create another layer on top of these 2 layers. So I just click on this plus square thing, and that creates a layer on top. This plus square thing, that is going to be where we do all of our painting. In fact, I can rename these layers. If I double click on the top layer, I can call this painting layer.
You got District PLC?
Yeah, so I'll call this one painting layer, and then I will add painting to it. Now here's the deal. Once I'm on that layer, I've got to change my tool to the paintbrush. There are a couple brushes over here. This one's the history brush. I don't want that. I want this one. It's just a brush and that's it. And the shortcut for it is the letter B, right? If it looks like one of these other tools, just click on the brush tool. Alright, one shortcut that you're going to need to know is the bracket key. If you press the right bracket key, which is above return on your keyboard, you can make your circle bigger or the brush size bigger, or the left bracket key makes it smaller. Alright, so over on this left side, we need to choose a color. I'm going to choose green. If you click on that top square on the left side, that creates the color. Then you can choose anywhere. You can move the slider around to say, oh, I want some sort of pink. You could say, oh, I want it to be like a soft pink. And then you click OK to commit to those changes. Then you can paint stuff. And I know what you're thinking, like, Mr. Schaefer, that is not very good. Well, I'll explain what you can do with this in a second. So I added a nice pink color. Let's say I didn't want that hard edge. I can right click, change the softness, bring that over to the left, press enter, and then I can paint, I'm going to paint this other one. And notice the edge difference, right? So maybe I would use this harder edge for objects that have extreme sides, and maybe I use the softer edge for like shadows and things. Next, let's say we want to change the color. I can click this or press the letter X. It's right here. I can either click on that button to change between the background and foreground color, and then choose another color. Let's say nice blue. And if I want to switch, and then here, I'll paint this first. I can press my right bracket key to make the brush bigger. I know it's not perfect. I'm going to show you how to do a better job in a second. So if I want to switch between the two, so I was using pink and then I want to go back to it, I press the letter X. Notice how down here it changes when I press the letter X. So I can go in between two different colors really quickly. Go back to pink and I'm like, oh, I need blue again. So I press X and then go back to blue. All right, let's say we get to a third color. We're going to paint this dinosaur right here green. I'm going to click the top one, go down to green. It's kind of like Easter colors, I feel like. Anyway, I can paint the next one green. Now I don't see blue in my back and forth colors here. So I can't just press X and get to blue. What I could do though is on this right side, it might be under color, but you could switch it to swatches. When you switch it to swatches, it'll show all the recent colors that you've used. And voila, there is my blue. So I click on that, and now I'm back to the blue color. And now I can switch between blue and green. So go back to blue, or green, or whatever, you know. All right, so it's just important to know the brushes and how you can change it. Make sure you're working on the top layer when you're painting. Do not work on this bottom layer or the black and white layer, just the top layer. Now with that top layer, we don't want to just cover up these objects. We want to make them look like they're combined. So I'm going to click on the top layer, make sure I've got it selected, and then above there where it says normal, I'm going to change that to overlay. And when you change it to overlay, now you'll see the paints that you used blend with the bottom color really well. So now I can go in between the colors and it's a little bit easier to be more exact because I can see the whole shape. Right, so then I go back to the green. And I would suggest when you do this, you zoom in. You zoom in by pressing Command and the plus button. If you want to move around on your page and change your tool to the hand tool, you press the space bar. And if you have a smaller edge, you'll notice that even when I went around, it still kind of went over onto the other object. So to prevent that, I'm going to change the hardness of my brush. Command Z is undo. Alright, and then I can go paint. And notice now that I have a harder brush, it doesn't bleed over into the other color. So I'm going to press X to go back to green. Awesome. And go to blue. And so on. Awesome. So I could just go throughout this and keep doing what I'm doing. Changing the colors and then eventually changing the background colors and that sort of thing. The other thing I want to show you though, well, in class I'll show you how to go into more depth and how to use selection tools to do the same stuff a little quicker. But to make this video shorter, I just want to show you how to save this as a JPEG. let's pretend I was all the way done. If I go to File, Save As, save to my computer, I'm going to have a problem when I try to save it to my computer. By the way, you choose your desktop, the Photo 1 class, you go to the Colorize project, and you choose Final, right? Because you finalize the project. You'll notice if I try to change the format from Photoshop to JPEG, there's not that option. So you're like, dang, how am I supposed to do this? Well, what you could do is right-click above the letters, then go to where it says Flatten Image. So now that the image is flattened, now we can save it as a JPEG. So I go File, Save As, on your computer. And now if I choose Desktop, Photo 1, Colorize Project, Colorize Final, then I can choose under Format JPEG. That's one of the options. And if I do that, I will also want to change the name of this. You want to put the class period, so if you're in 3B, and then you want to put your first and last name, and then you want to put the name of the project. Right, and then make sure the format says JPEG, and then you click Save. Now when I open these, I don't want maximum quality because the file size is going to be a lot bigger. So change it to low. I want low quality, but I'll still be able to see it plenty fine. So change it to low and then click OK. And then when you're done with that, on your desktop, in your Colorize Final, you'll have the folder with your photo, your finished photo. So like this is the one I was working on in another class. Right. Hopefully this makes sense. If you have any questions, you can send me an email since I won't be there today. Yeah, good luck.